Hello! Oh my god, I'm so late. I'm so sorry. I hope no one's missing this because I was started 10 minutes late. I don't even have, like a stand set up. I don't have I'm literally, this is a mess. Okay, and I'm running late for my next, where I have to be. So I'm super fancy tonight. My sister, my little baby sister, she's getting married, and she picked out her wedding venue, so we're going to look at it tonight and have a cocktail. So, of course, I'm starting a little bit early with this. Cheers to you. Cheers to Thursday. Oh, I'm so excited to be here on a Thursday. Thursdays are my best days, and cheers to you. Thanks for joining me. Okay. Tonight's topic, inflammation. This was not requested by anyone, but all week, everything just seemed like it was about inflammation. I have a presentation tomorrow for my day job about inflammation. I had 4 different clients ask me about inflammation. I was doing research about one thing and it turned out it was about inflammation. It was just inflammation. I was like, all right, we're talking about it tonight. Alcohol it causes inflammation. I'm not even kidding. That is kind of funny, but we're not going to talk about that. So these are the top 3 things that are causing you to be inflamed. And inflammation, this is a hot topic right now. You hear a lot about it, and that's really good. I think that what we all need is a little bit more education around our diets and our lifestyles and how they're affecting our health. Hi, Alden. How are you? Oh, I haven't seen you in so long. Let's catch up later. But so why is inflammation important? Because it is out there a lot. We're hearing a lot more about it, but why? Why do we even need to know anything about it? Because chronic low-level inflammation is a risk factor for heart disease, for diabetes, for stroke, for high cholesterol. I'm making fingers. And I'm forgetting one. For all the major diseases that we currently want to avoid. Heart disease is the #1 killer of Americans, and chronic inflammation is a huge risk factor for that. So that's why it's important. Also, if our bodies are inflamed, it's much more difficult to lose weight. Inflammation can affect where we store fat on our bodies, so it can place our fat stores near to our vital organs, which can affect our risk factors for disease. Again, make us much more unhealthy, and it speeds up the aging process. And I don't mean to be vain or bring it back to how we look, but who doesn't want to have better skin or better aging skin? Have better healthy skin and cells that live longer and live healthier lives. It makes us feel better. It makes us look better. So that's another factor of it. Avoiding heart disease, avoiding weight that's really hard to get off, and having better looking skin and that kind of thing. Okay, so the top 3 things that are contributing to your inflammation are sugar. Yeah, and that one might be a little obvious. We do hear a lot more about sugar now. Bad fats. I like to call them bad fats, and I'll go over that. And stress. And stress is not a diet thing, that's a lifestyle thing, and we'll talk about that. So first of all, sugar. How is this affecting our inflammation? So sugar, what it does is it rushes into our bloodstream, so it's absorbed really quickly and easily by our bodies, and it basically just spikes our hunger hormones, which first and foremost is insulin, but insulin spikes and then drops. And doing that once in a while isn't a big deal, but the issue is most Americans' diets are, hi Jill, are really high in sugars and refined carbohydrates. So what we're doing 3 or 5 times a day, depending on how many times we're eating throughout the day, is spiking our blood sugar and then causing it to crash. And doing that every day for months on end is absolutely inflammatory, and it's really bad. So you're absolutely disrupting those hormones, and that causes inflammation. Secondly, when that sugar gets down to our gut, we have a gut symbiosis. So we have good bacteria in our gut and bad bacteria in our gut. The good bacteria are fed by fiber, so plant foods. So, anything whole plant food, that's what those good bacteria eat. And they love it, and then they thrive. And we have bad bacteria no matter what. And that's okay. But what happens is we eat these diets that are low in fiber, so we're starving out our good bacteria, and really high in processed carbs and sugars, and we're feeding those bad bacteria. So the bad bacteria are flourishing, the good bacteria, which benefit our bodies, are dying, or they're just not, having a chance to grow. Yes, that's because they're there anyways, but they're not being fed. So this leads to gut permeability. Believe me, you're going to hear a lot more about this in the coming years. Gut permeability is leaky gut. You're certainly going to hear about that. And I will do like a whole Facebook Live on leaky gut or gut permeability. But that is basically because these bad bacteria are kind of taking over in our gut, where our gut starts allowing toxins to release into our bloodstream. That's not good. That causes inflammation on its own. So, poor gut health will cause its own inflammation regardless of our sugar intake. So, but the sugar just adds to that. Sugar is causing inflammation because it's affecting our hormones, and it's affecting our gut. Secondly, what else did I want to say about sugar? My notes are in my phone, so I can't check them. And cheers while I think about what I wanted to say. Jill, do you have wine, or are you driving home from work? Let me know. Okay, I'll come back to sugar if I think of anything else about that. So that's how sugar is affecting our inflammation. So what we want to think about is, a little bit of sugar is okay. It's not going to cause any of this inflammation that I'm talking about, chronic low-level inflammation, which is constant. But we don't need as many simple carbohydrates as we're eating, and we don't need as many sugars as we're eating. So cutting back on the amount of sugar that, the amount of soda that you eat, pointing my mind, the amount of soda that you eat, the amount of sugar that you add to your coffee, or like those, your fancy Starbucks beverages, the amount of dessert and baked items that you're eating can really help cut back on those refined carbohydrates and the sugars. Next is our fats. And this one's a little bit more confusing just because when we talk about a saturated fat, there are good and bad saturated fats. And so it can be a little hard to understand. But hopefully, and if you have a question, let me know. But hopefully I'll be able to break it down and make sense. So fats. The good fats are coming from our omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory, they're antioxidants, and they're really beneficial for our bodies. Those omega-3s come from fatty fishes, nuts, seeds, kind of the foods that we don't eat a whole lot of. And the omega-6s, well, maybe I should start with saturated fats. So our saturated fats aren't all bad. Some of them come from animal fat. So we're talking about red meat, pork, and full-fat dairy and butter. And we need less of those, certainly, but I don't think that those are the only things that are contributing to our inflammation or our current rates of disease. So we can cut back on the red meats, pork, full-fat dairy, and butter. And saturated fats also come from our processed oils. So soybean oil, canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, these oils that are extracted using a certain process that makes them a little bit more unstable. So what happens is when we ingest them, they become damaging. And that's important. So a little bit is okay, but when we're eating a lot of processed foods that are made with these processed oils, we're ingesting a lot of those oils, and they can be very damaging if we're eating a lot of them. Mostly those oils, hi Kim! Mostly those oils are coming from our processed packaged foods. So a lot of baked goods, again, we're going back to those simple carbohydrates, a lot of baked items, potato chips, anything fried. Oh my God, the list goes on and on. But those processed fats, they're not, sorry, my phone keeps telling me my battery's going low. Those processed fats that are in our processed foods, those are the omega-6 fats. And when we don't have enough of the omega-3s and we have a lot of the omega-6s, we get unbalanced. And that imbalance causes inflammation. The other ones we want to watch out for are the tinkered with fats. So these are fats that are liquid at their natural state, but somebody in a lab figured out how to make them solid at room temperature. Did I just say? Yeah. So solid at room temperature, and by doing so, that gives it that oil a longer shelf life. So whatever it's added to, that product will have a longer shelf life. And now we've got a partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated oil, and those are really bad. So that's when we need to read our ingredient lists. This is about awareness and education. Read your ingredient list, know what you're taking in, and do not eat hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. Cutting back on anything fried, anything that's processed and packaged, and increasing your consumption of nuts, seeds, and fatty fishes. That was hard to get out. Fatty fishes is really helpful and can help balance out those omega-3, omega-6s. Lastly, that's causing inflammation is stress. And that's not anything to do with our diet, but when we're, back in the day when there was lions and tigers around every corner, we had something called, well, we still have it, our flight or fight response. And this is an influx of a hormone that gives us it's a very acute stress response that was really beneficial when we needed to run for our life or find a really good hiding spot. But in this day and age, there aren't lions and tigers around every corner. But we're still stressed out, and we're still using that stress response, that cortisol stress response. But we're overusing it. We're using it all the time, every day. And it's not benefiting us anymore. It's just causing us to get sick, basically. So cortisol is maxed out, and that puts all the stress on all of our other systems. So what we do there is we need to manage our stress better. And Americans are not good at doing this. We take no lunch break. We don't get enough sleep. You look at Europeans, they have this nice relaxing lunch. They sleep in. Americans, we don't do that. We don't drink wine at lunch, but I think we should. Wine is not good for stress relief, by the way. So what we need to do is manage our stress. Meditation, yoga, deep breathing exercises, cutting people out of our lives that are very stressful. Those will all help reduce inflammation. Okay? Did I talk fast enough? Cheers. But yeah, I'm just worried my phone's gonna die, so cheers, Jill. So yeah, those are the 3 things that are contributing to inflammation that most people don't realize. A little bit of exercise, cutting back on your sugars and refined carbohydrates, managing your stress, and just watching the amount of processed foods you take in, and or balancing those processed foods with whole plant foods, nuts and seeds, and fish. That's the way to go. It's about balance. I hate that word though because it's so undefined, but it really is. It's about not completely eliminating the bad things. It's about balancing out the bad things with good things. And you're golden. All right, guys. Cheers to you. Cheers to Thursday. Thanks for joining me. And I'll see you next Thursday. Every Thursday, doing the Facebook Live. Oh, I meant to mention the stress. Adaptogens are awesome for stress. Those are in those basically butters that I'm always talking about. So if you want to try basically butter, let me know. They've got adaptogens in them, which are great for stress, and they've got collagen, which is great for our skin and our joints. So those are really helpful. But other than that, I will see you next Thursday. I will have a great topic for you next Thursday. If you have something you want to hear about, comment on this video and let me know. All right, see you next week.